Hey BookTube, how's it going? That's super. Um, I guess I am doing my weekend reads, um, or Friday reads, or weekend wrap up, or weekly wrap up. I don't know what it's called anymore. My brain's going cuckoo. Okay, oh yeah, that's what that book is. Oh shit, I still haven't fixed my leaning tower of books. And Zoe noticed it. She's like, "Oh my god!" Um, there's got to be like one book that's making this whole thing teeter. Huh. I guess I'll take a picture of it and post it. But that's extremely hot. Don't do that. Okay. So this week, um, I read some short stories, but the only actual book I finished was well, that's not true because that was nonfiction, but we already talked about that one. So the only book I finished since the last book I finished is Tarzan at the Earth's Core. Now, the story was extremely interesting. Um, it did have the civilized dude falling for the native girl with Jason Gridley, but it wasn't just about him because he got separated from everybody. So like Tarzan had his own adventure, and it was neat that his adventure didn't have anything to do with trying to rescue a damsel. Um, but the damsel that needed rescuing in this whole scenario is David Inns or David Ines, however you say it. It's Innes. I don't know how to pronounce that for some reason. Because he was captured in the last book. Well, here are the problems with this situation. One, they get into a situation at the beginning of the book, which is Tarzan goes out and gets lost in the jungle, which doesn't sound like a Tarzan thing to do. Like, why didn't he just like climb a tree and look for the clearing? Like, it's fucking Tarzan. Um, Next, after he had been gone, since there's no days in Pellucidar, like days and nights, they kind of judge time by how much you've slept and ate. And after they've had lots of sleeps, Tarzan was still not back yet. So they sent like a team out to look for him. And then that team got separated. And so there were all these people just fucking lost in the woods. Okay. Um, which is fine, you know. But that was the story. The story was these people were lost in the woods. And like as I was getting closer and here, like I don't understand what's going on. So finally, um, they have their team of it's like Tarzan, Jason, some new friends they made, the girl. So like a handful of people get in this like little canoe or something like that, and they're gonna go to this pirate island and just bust in and rescue the Emperor of Pellucidar. Now, um, as this is happening, as they're going across the lake, or the ocean. I'm totally ruining this for you, but I have to explain this because I think this hurt my idea of this book. This giant fleet of ships are coming at them, and they're trying to outrun them, and they know they can't. And then it turns out that it is um, the fleet that David told his people to make of 50 ships and come get him if he doesn't come right back. And that was in the beginning of the third book, which was Tannar Pellucidar. So now that they have this giant armada and a fucking blimp, they just like, it's told in like 2 paragraphs. Like they go into the pirate village and say, give us David back or we're gonna fucking kill you. And they're like, okay, here you go. And that's the end. And it's just like the whole point of the book was to go rescue this guy. It took them about 3 pages to do it in total from when they decided they were gonna go after him. And so like the whole book was like something like completely different than what I was expecting to find. And then like there was a part of me that's like, oh, okay, I get it. They're going to go through all this shit, and then the next book is going to be them trying to rescue David. Nope, they rescue him at the end of the book, just in like a page or 2. So for that, just because my expectations were I was expecting a story that did this because that's what I was promised from the last book and the beginning of this book, I didn't get it. I mean, I got it. Here's the thing. Edgar Rice Burroughs made good on his promise. They rescued David. But it was like, like when you're watching an episode of The Walking Dead, let's say, and in the first 5 minutes, something crazy happens, and then there's like 45 minutes of people crying and being upset that there's zombies and the world's over. And then in the last like 2 minutes, something crazy happens. That's what this book was. This book was the middle part where people are crying. But it was exciting. So it's almost like Burroughs was like, okay, well, if they were going to go rescue him, it would be this easy. And then I foreshadowed all these ships coming. So that could just happenstance at the same time. So that's fine. So what to do with this middle 200 pages? I know. I'll split them all up. Have them get into various adventures. And there were some crazy beans in this book. Like, it's so weird because it's kind of like how the Barsoom books were, and that every time you have read a few of them, you're like, okay, I know everything there is to know about this place. And then the next book comes out and it's like, bam, bitch! Like, there's this whole other part that you had no idea existed with these people that you had no idea existed. And that's how Pellucidar's getting. And it's fun, don't get me wrong, but it's like every time I think I have it pegged, you know, not like the kind we were talking about in that book haul, but it goes completely like tits up into some other direction. Okay, so all in all, I like the book. It just wasn't what I was expecting. So the next book is Back to the Stone Age, and I don't want to make any assumptions, but I think Jason Gridley is in this one as well. But again, I'm not going to make any assumptions because when I assume, I make an ass out of you. So, what else I'm reading this weekend? Oh, I just started, I started it yesterday. Motherfucker. Hour of the Dragon, which sounds like a Bruce Lee movie, but it's actually a Robert E. Howard Conan story. And it's actually like a novel, like novel length. And it was also released as Conan the Conqueror. And I don't know if I'm doing this the right way or the wrong way, but apparently this novel was like butchering, kind of like how Raymond Chandler did with his Philip Marlowe books. It was like a butchering of a bunch of the short stories. Um, and I think the one that it most takes from is the Scarlet Citadel. Um, so I don't know if like I should read those short stories first and then jump into this, but the beginning of this book was so how do you like, you know, those books that like it's like a slow build and you're like, okay, I'm kind of I understand this character a bit now, you know, something's going to happen here. This one's like, boom, bitch, these guys just opened a thing and there's a mummy, and now they put some fucking jewel on his chest and he's fucking alive. BAM! And it was just like, I was like totally freaking out. I was like, oh my god. And it just like grabbed you so fast that I was really excited. I have goosebumps right now talking about it. But like it started to like kind of waver a bit. And at first I'm like, I don't even know if this is a Conan story. It's a LibriVox audiobook. And it's like Hour of the Dragon, Robert E. Howard. And I'm like, oh, okay, whatevs. And there was like all this shit going on, and I'm like, oh my god, what's this story about? Who are these people? This is nuts. And then they're like, oh yeah, and then Conan, the Sumerian, you know, da 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 da. And I'm like, oh, okay, it is a Conan book. But there's a part of me that thinks I should stop reading this and go and read the short stories that it's based on. So let me know. Like, I know I got some Conan fans in here. Let me know, because I could just as easily read something else. Okay. I'm going to do a different video for that. Just because I'm super excited about it. I'll tell you what I'm even talking about in a minute, because it has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But I could read something else while you guys tell me what to do. So I'll read some like H.P. Lovecraft, or the other Mike Hammer book I have right here. Okay, so I'm pretty excited. Oh my gosh, I'm so geeked out right now. So just